So I'm gonna try to talk about George Floyd's death in this video. It's really a long time I haven't made a video. I haven't made a video in months on YouTube, and honestly, I don't think my opinion on this matter is important. I think my opinion comes from all of my insecurities that I'm dealing with right now, that I'm healing, slowly healing. So, and I'm triggered by what I've seen. And so basically I'm just gonna try, this is gonna be an exercise in authenticity for me. Trying to be the most authentic possible, because I think that one of the biggest problem I do have, like all humans have it, but I've seen it in myself. Like for me, it's like a disease. It's as if I had a disease since I'm a kid. It is that I am not honest about what I truly think, what I truly feel, and I have always, ever since I can remember, I have spoken words in order to be liked, to be appreciated, or at least in order not to be rejected by the other. And for the first time, I have spoken like my truth. And truth is relative. Truth is what you really think, what you really feel, no matter what the objective truth outside of your body is, okay? That is what speaking your truth is. For example, speaking your truth might be to say to your boyfriend, I think you're a fucking asshole. That might be the relative truth, you know, that's going on inside of you on a mental and emotional level. Okay? So that's basically what I'm trying to do. So I have learned that through experience, that when you say the truth, and what I mean by the truth is not like the ultimate truth that's out there, you know, the facts. I'm talking about what you, like, honestly communicating what you think and what you feel without modifying it in order to, like, get a certain reaction or avoid a certain reaction from someone else, okay? And when you do that, it's very scary. Like, if saying your opinion is not scary, most likely it's not even your fucking opinion. It's just an opinion that you are saying, that you're repeating because it feels good, okay? It also depends with whom you're speaking, you know? If you're speaking with people who agree with you, it's a lot easier to say what you actually think. Everyone knows that, right? And one really hard thing, for example, is to speak with people who have radically different opinions than you and are going to react violently. Not like that, but violently with words, and emotionally are going to be triggered by what you have to say. Like, for example, either your parents, for example, like that's the perfect example. I'm completely at odds with everything that my parents think. And I think it's no wonder. I think as a soul, humans choose like who they are going to meet in their lives, you know. And so in order to grow the fastest, the quickest, you need people who are not going to agree with you. Because if you're surrounded by everyone who agrees with you, you're not going to grow, because you're not going to be confronted with a situation where everyone thinks you're nuts. Everyone thinks you're just stupid, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're, you know, and you're not gonna grow. So I think as souls, before we incarnate in flesh, we choose our parents choose their children, and we also choose like the people that we're going to meet, okay? So I don't know if that's true, but it would make a lot of sense to me, because I realize that when I speak with people about stuff that we agree with, it's fine. Like, I have no judgment whatsoever about that. I think it's perfectly fine to do that. But I realized that I don't grow as quick as when I say an opinion that is rooted really in what I think and how I feel, that completely triggers the other person in front of me, okay? And I know myself very well, and I know that I will do whatever the fuck I need to do in order to like run away from people rejecting me. And that's a natural like thing to do as a human being, because it's probably ancestral or like a tribal thing. We don't want to be rejected by the tribe because it comes from a trauma from childhood. When you're a child and you're abandoned, it means you're gonna die, and you know it because you have no power. People are feeding you. People are like giving you everything you need in order to survive when you're a kid. And growing up, you keep the same behavior even though now you can provide for yourself. And now you have this dysfunctional emotion within you, and you're still, man, this video is so long. I thought I was about to speak about George Floyd's death, and in fact I'm talking about, but it's a whole thing, you know? It's all connected. And therefore now we're like adults, but really we're kids in adult bodies running around. And we are so afraid of telling our opinions because of this wound. So running away from rejection is not good. It will only fucking lead to failure. And I believe it will also lead to a lot of self-hatred, because I've realized that I respect myself much more when I speak my opinion, when everyone around me, you know, is like, I had to do that just the other day. On Friday, I was having dinner with my parents and their friends, and I was telling them what I think because they asked me, okay? So I wasn't trying to convince anyone, but they asked me something about the coronavirus, and my belief about coronavirus is that it's a scam and that it's something that has been highly mediatized in order to trigger the human population, and then for the government to like implement some measures that would be accepted by people because they perceive a threat that is said to be this virus. So I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this is what I fucking believe, okay? And so I said it the other day when I was like eating with my parents and with all their friends. And it was so scary. I was shaking. I was shaking because I knew that they would think I'm fucking stupid to think that. And not only would they think that I am stupid, because for a lot of people that's a stupid thing to say, that such a big conspiracy would never be possible. So first off, I feel like certain people tend to think that you're stupid, but there was even more than that, because now the problem is people think that if you believe that the coronavirus is a scam, you are a danger for everyone else, okay? And so there's this really like tense, heavy atmosphere, right? But I don't care. I say what I think, you know? I'm not gonna endanger other people's lives, but I'm gonna say what I think until I fucking die. Because it feels too good now that I know like how it feels like to say what you think. Once you really get used to doing it in spite of your fear, it's really weird because it's scary and so it's painful, you know? You shake sometimes. It's like, it's really hard. And at the same time, there's something in you that is so happy because for this first time, you are actually listening to yourself. You are actually loving yourself, valuing your opinion and your emotions. And what's crazy, when you start being honest and authentic about how you feel and what you think, for the first time, you are actually respecting the person in front of you. Because you are not trying to manipulate her in any reaction, in any pattern that you would like from her. So you are not respecting her by telling her something that makes her feel good, but you are respecting her by giving her the most authentic communication you can have, and really like trusting that that person can handle it. That person can handle you. okay? And that feels good. It inherently feels right. So I don't give a fuck what other people... And that's not even true. That's who I want to be. That's not even true. I still give a fuck about what people like, when people like really disagree with me. I'm so scared. I mean, my whole body is shaking. So it's not true that I don't give a fuck. But at least intellectually, I couldn't care less. Because I'm on my way to become someone who's authentic. And every day is a battle, because being authentic is the hardest thing in the world. Because we are programmed as kids, conditioned to not do that. And honestly, the proof is our society. Our society is a reflection of the human minds, and each individual human. And you see our society is like, it's conformity, it's normality, it's boredom. It's like, it's heaviness, it's pressure. Why? Because most people do not respect and communicate who they are, because they are too scared. They are too scared to do so. And that's why our society looks like that. That's why we don't live in a perfect world. It's not because, like, because of the governments, you know, and because there's people trying to control us. You know, that's just a consequence. If you are someone who doesn't care about the consequences of your acts, in terms of like you don't want to hurt other people, obviously, right? So that's the limit. But you don't care about the consequences of acting out of integrity, then no one can control you. No one can control you. Okay? Because once you have tasted integrity, it is really hard to go back to be someone to ignore your intuition and what you think and how you feel. And I don't know why. I have no logical explanation, but I think you see it in like people who truly believe in a cause. They're not gonna go back to try to like compromise in order to have a larger audience, you know, in order to have enough money. If you're truly honest, there are gonna be repercussions in your life. There are gonna be people who hate you. There are gonna be repercussions in terms of money, in terms of friends who do not want to be your friends anymore. There's gonna be plenty of repercussions before there's actually a positive like manifestation, money coming in, relationships. First, reality is testing you. It's testing you first. This is all not just atoms bouncing around. This is intelligent. And so be careful, because if you're bold like me and you're stating that now you want to live out of integrity, life is going to fucking test you. And life is testing me right now. And a lot of time I fail because it's too painful to be 100% honest. I cannot handle it a lot of times. I try it to the best of my ability, but the truth is sometimes it is so scary that I retreat back in my old self. And until I have enough courage, and it is too painful to be my old self, who I don't want to be anymore. And like the pain of being my old self kind of outweighs the pain of speaking what I think, you know? So it's kind of like a pain balance. At a certain point, it's too painful to not speak your truth. And you're gonna do it no matter what, because it's almost gonna like benefit you, in fact. Even though it's still painful, not doing it is more painful. Wow, 14 minutes. I think this is the sign that God doesn't want me to really speak about the like specifics of George Floyd's death. Because I probably would do it for the wrong reasons. So this was 15 minutes of me saying something. I don't even remember what I've said during these 15 minutes. It just went it just passed like a thunder. But now I'm gonna fucking tell you what I think about George Floyd's death. So I think it's a scam. I think it's a fake news. I don't know exactly what the government, or what they call the shadow government, the deep state, which is in fact behind the scenes. I do not know what they want to achieve with that news, okay? I'm not going to go into the details of why I think that it's a scam, because it would be trying to convince you, and I don't want to do that. You can think whatever you like. I don't give a fuck. I think what's happening right now in the world is that there's a lot of fake news coming in, a lot. And the reason is that we have a shadow government that is trying harder and harder to get a reaction from the population. The really funny thing though is, I think we live in a time on Earth where there's just something in the air. I have read and heard about like ascension, ascension energy. Like there's a spiritual awakening happening on Earth. I think that's what's happening. I don't know if it's a case, but it definitely feels like that's something that's happening. And so what we are seeing right now, I think with like news like that, the consequences are actually good. So what's happening with George Floyd's like news, this guy being like allegedly killed by this cop, and you see this horrible like photography, what it triggers is a lot of anger in black people, because the truth is, I know nothing about black people, okay? I know nothing about their pain. I know nothing about their suffering. But what I am seeing is that like certain black people that I follow, that I trust really, that I look up to on social media, like for example, like Preston Smiles, let's like say names, are so devastated by that. And it is by seeing that I realize how fucked up the situation for black people is in like modern day Europe and the US. And I already knew it, but I didn't realize how much it sucked. For me, what I thought about black people in the US, for example, is like, they're in the hood, they're poor, they're the ones who are most hit by all sorts of shitty illnesses. They're not treated that well by the police. I already knew that too. And but I didn't expect the response to be as strong for like this news. And I think it's good, even if the news is fake, because it's not about the news, it's about how we react to it. And right now what we're seeing basically is a lot of black people speaking up, because they have been basically like trying to make us white people, but like 85% of the US, let's take the US as an example, they have tried to make the general population aware of how much they are suffering. And the truth is, most people today are not aware of how much black people suffer. I am not aware of it. I know it. I know it, because it would be a fucking lie to tell you that I know what it feels like to be black. I have no fucking idea. I can imagine, I try to, but even when I do, it's so fucking limited. I just don't know. And so I think it's good, because now we're gonna see, the truth is, we are all human beings. We are all so much in our minds and so cut off from our own emotions that we are not even able anymore to feel the pain of other people. And I've seen a quote by Sadhguru, and he says that if you see a fellow human suffer and it does nothing to you, you have forsaken your humanity. And I know for a fact that in my life, sometimes I can see people suffer and I feel very little. and it scares the shit out of me. And I think that's something I got to work on, and I think a lot of people have to work on that, black or white. But the truth of the matter is that the ones who suffer most on a daily basis, on a physical level in the US, seem to be the black people. And now we're hearing it. And the good thing is that also now white people like me are confronted to that. Okay? And it's really weird because like a part of me wants to feel their pain in order to like be with them. But another part of me just doesn't care. It's just the truth, you know? And I think it's the case for most white people. And they are afraid to say it. They are so fucking afraid to say it. And I respect that. But I gotta say, I'm angry at people when they're not saying how they feel and what they think. And I feel like a lot of like white people, spiritual people are pretending to love everyone and to care about everyone, but they don't. And it's okay because it's what it is. And as long as for you are denying what is, you're not gonna grow. It's a shadow, you know? And believe me, I am pissed that I cannot... I'd really like to like watch a video of someone being abused or see someone being abused on the street. And like, I'm like everyone. I help people on the street. Like I give money. And when I see people suffer, I do feel something, but not enough. Really not enough. I'm sure like my goal is to feel way more than that. So that when I see a person suffer on the street, I cannot go by without feeling the whole range or a lot more emotions. And I know that because I was once on the street with my mom in Paris, like a couple months ago. It was in winter. And I saw a man on the street. And he was lying on the street. Like he was a homeless man lying on the street. I couldn't see his face because he had a thing on. And he was like that. So he was lying on the street, really like someone suffering. And he was like there with a cup. And he had no shoes. It was winter. It was cold. And his hands were shaking. There was a cup in which he wanted the money. And his hand was shaking like that. And his feet were shaking. And when I saw that, I passed by this man. First, I saw him. I saw this man lying on the street. And the truth was, what was happening was he was like that on the street, you know. And there were people like just doing a thing around him, like a river around a stone, like just walking next to him. God. And like, they were just walking next to him, you know, like if he wasn't there. And I did the exact same thing like everyone else. It just makes me want to puke. And literally, like, what happened when I did this, like, I looked at him. I wanted to look at him. So I looked at this man while I was with my mom. And it was at a time where I personally was going through a lot in my life. And I was suffering a lot physically and a lot like emotionally. And so, but still like seeing him added to my suffering. Like I could not go by and pretend that he was not there. And so, but I did. Like I walked by him and did nothing. And it made me sick. It made me almost puke, in fact. Like I had a nausea. I had like something here. And I really had to force myself to stop thinking about him. But I thought about him for like 2 hours. Or, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours after having seen that man. And for me, it was a message from God. God like told me, you see, you're not very like for me it was God about telling me that I'm not very far ahead in my journey, basically. Because what the spiritual journey is about is, it's not to better your life. It is to become a better human being so that you finally can tap into compassion and feel the pain of other people, so that we stop acting individually as if other people don't exist. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm just, I felt like I was a Nazi. I felt like I was a fucking Nazi. I'm no better. And I knew it for a fact. And it made me sick because I saw myself as someone who's compassionate and who's open and tolerant. And I realized that I'm not. I'm just, really, what I am is an asshole. And, but it doesn't mean that I cannot continue live and love myself. But at least the least I can do for that man on the street who maybe died, he maybe fucking died, is to acknowledge all of my emotions, all of my actions, and all of my intentions. It makes me want to puke. Fuck. And so that's kind of like an analogy with what's happening with Black people. Like, I think we have to, that's my advice basically to white people, because I have no advice for Black people, like I couldn't. But for white people, I think it's to use that in order to acknowledge all of your emotions, all of what you think about Black people. And there are Black people and white people who are gonna judge you, hate you, whatever. But the truth is, as long as I am personally expressing what I think is true, what I think and what I feel, I don't give a fuck what other people think of me. And so you can tell me that I'm racist, that I'm sexist. I don't care. I don't care, because it's true. What am I gonna do? Like, I don't need to debate, you know? My goal is only to better myself. So if you think I'm a racist, fine. I don't care. I don't care, because even I don't think I'm a racist, but even if I was, it would be a reason more to heal myself and love myself. And denying it would just be worse. What's worse? Being a racist and pretending that you care about Black people, or being a racist and being honest about it? Think a minute about that, okay? So that's my advice to white people. I think most white people have racist tendencies. I think that, I'm sure I have racist tendencies, okay? Even though I think I'm pretty tolerant, but I mean, the man lying in the street, it's the proof that I'm where I'm at. I'm not very far ahead. And even Black people have racist tendencies, okay? And so that's what I think is important with, like, the death of George Floyd, allegedly, because I think it's bullshit. But what's not bullshit is the pain that Black people have been going through for hundreds of years. I mean, for me, what's even crazy is, like, we don't even talk about it at school. We talk about the Holocaust. Oh, yeah. But, and it's funny because I once said a very bad thing about the Holocaust while I was in class. And I almost got kicked out. But I got smashed by the teacher. I made a joke. I'm not gonna, like, repeat the joke, but I made a bad joke about it. And you know what? I don't even give a fuck. Like, I think it's okay to make jokes. But it was a bad joke. It was unsavory, as you say. And we don't even learn about, like, slavery in school, you know? And so I think there's just a lot of stuff coming to the surface, and Black people are speaking up, and white people are reacting, acting even more like they care. And maybe, you know, maybe some do. I'm sure some do. But the level of inauthenticity and dishonesty about our feelings, for all humans, you know, Black people included, just because you're Black, you're no different. You just suffer a little bit more. Yes, I'll admit that. But you're not honest either. You completely fucking identified with your ego as well, you know? So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we need to acknowledge all of our emotions and all of our thoughts and tendencies. And you know, right now, 30 minutes, I told you exactly what I think, you know? And I said a lot of things that I think people could throw at me, and now telling me that I'm a conspiracy theorist, I'm a racist. Yeah, and I don't give a fuck, because maybe I am. And I'm healing myself. And in fact, if you're like just throwing this at me, you're part of the problem, not the solution. And I'm part of the solution. So I'm doing actually more good than you. And that's enough for me. So here's for everyone. I know I'm not perfect. I hope I was... Oh God, I hope I did my best in this video, because I know I'm just like really, I'm also really dishonest about my feelings, and I'm just really trying hard, doing the best I can. But I mean, yeah. You got to work with the level where you're at, okay? If you're dishonest, it's okay. Just try to be a little bit more honest, a little bit better at every moment. That's your responsibility as a human. That is your duty, you know? And it's good because it feels good. It's scary, but it feels good. So your body is telling you that you're on the right path. So thanks for listening. And fuck you.